a new one.
You know what?
From the front.
If I find it, if anybody hands it to me, I'll just give it back to you.
Right. No, there's not other ones on the end.
I'll ask the speakers. Maybe they just grab it.
Yeah. The other problem with governments.
Excuse me, you didn't grab accidentally the phone
Somebody else.
Yeah, you didn't grab it by chance. No, okay.
She has the.
I know. Yeah, okay. All right.
Can we put the stick here or? Sorry.
Yes.
Can we put it here or it has to?
Yeah, they will transfer it here, so you'll see it here.
Okay.
Yeah, they need to have it there to see it here.
Thank you.
Alors, je crois qu'on peut commencer doucement. Tout le monde est bien nourri de café et stimulé parce que nous aurons une table aussi nourrissante. Pauline qui va nous introduire. Merci.
Merci beaucoup, Father. Yeah, the coffee breaks in Italy are always a little longer, so I think we have to get used to it. But I'm glad that everybody had their espressos and we're ready for the next session to share research experiences, motivations, and actions. And this will be really a session from South America to the very east and to the southern parts of Africa. The first speaker will be from Mexico, the case of Mexico, Amalia Campos from Queen's University in Northern Ireland. Amalia is a PhD candidate at the School of History, Anthropology, Philosophy, and Politics at the University of Belfast. She recently published the book Lines, Limits, and In-Betweens, or edited the book, a look to the borders from Latin America, and she does analysis of Mexican transit control regime. Please welcome.
Okay, thank you very much. So I have a presentation. There you go. Thank you. Yes. First of all, I wish to thank the organizers for their kind invitation. Also, I want to start with a disclosure. This presentation aims to give a general perspective of the Mexican migratory system, which has many migratory processes. I'm afraid that in a 20-minute presentation is not enough time for me to talk in depth about all of them. However, I hope that this brief presentation can encourage a discussion of the complexities and multiplicities of the dimensions of the so-called Mexican migratory system. Another disclosure is that although I'm mainly trained in qualitative approaches, in this presentation I will use graphs and maps to point out the macro elements of each process and to assess this migration through time. However, we must never forget the individuality of migration. Each number represents a mother, a father, a daughter, a son, and so on. That is, there is always someone waiting, crying, praying for them back home and in the destination countries. I will present some figures and remarks of the immigration, the return, the transit, and refugee dynamics in the Mexican territory, and I will conclude my presentation with some remarks of the responses and actions of civil society in this very complex scenario. The Institute of Mexicans Abroad has a record of 12 million nationals living in South Mexico. It is estimated that out of the 11 million Mexican national livings in the United States, 6 million doesn't have a regular status. Other countries of destination for Mexicans are Canada, Spain, Germany, the UK, and Bolivia. Since the 20th century, the beginning of the 20th century, the west region of the country has the higher immigration rate. In recent years, population from the southwest, particularly from the states of Chiapas, Oaxaca, and Guerrero, that is like the most pink ones, have been incorporated to the route to the United States. The Mexico-US remittances corridor is the first worldwide. In the 2015, the remittances of the Mexicans living abroad overtook all revenues, that is $25 billion. It is not a surprise that since the 90s, the Mexican state has been actively enhancing his relation with the Mexicans abroad and the hometown organizations, and especially encouraging the idea of the good migrant and the absent son, and capitalizing the nostalgia and belonging through the developing of programs for the construction of social and basic urban infrastructure. Since 2001, Mexico has received the forced return of the absent sons and daughters. This repatriation, and I would like to make a quick note to highlight how this term is frequently used to define migrants who have been forced to return to their countries, and through this, the focus has been shifted toward the imaginary of the homeland as a binding identity element. So, United States repatriate migrants in two categories, removals and returns. On the one hand, removals refers to the mandatory exit based on an order of deportation under the modality of criminals and non-criminals. Generally, as I will detail later, removals means that migrants are residing in the country. On the other hand, returns are confirmed deportations that are not based on an order, that is mostly migrants who has been detained by the Border Patrol on the time of crossing. What this graphic shows is the changing of deportation from migrants that are crossing to migrants that are living there. Another crucial element in the discourse of the securitization of migration has been the criminal label. What can be analyzed in this graph is the higher representation of Mexican migrants deported with not criminal profile. This is especially evident from 2004 to 2009, and has also been the case from 2014 to 2015. According to the data of the Survey of Migration Flows from El Colef, over the past 5 years has been an increasing in the number of deportees living in the US for more than 3 years. Furthermore, from 2004 to 2010, the number of Mexicans detained for deportation accompanied by their families, but deported without them, passed from almost 90,000 to 52,000. These numbers shows one of the leading ages of these processes. For these migrants, their families remain in the US. Also, as can be analyzed in the map, the points where migrants are deported are mostly border cities far away from their places of origin. For example, of the population deported by Tijuana, that is in the right point, only less than 2% are from the state of Baja California. The reality has been that for most of the deportees, return to their towns is not an option, and some have decided to stay in the border cities due to the possibility that their families can go to visit them. This is not only the case for Mexicans. I was 3 months ago in El Salvador, and a migrant just being deported from the US after 20 years living there just told me that he was planning to move to Mexico, to the border city, to be close to the border, and the family can go and visit him. The reality, there is also the case for families traveling back to Mexico because of the deportation of the head of the family. And this has created challenges to the integration of children, mainly educated in the US, and with very basic knowledge or not knowledge at all of Spanish. Well, now I will talk about the migration transit control regime operating in Mexico since 2001. This regime is articulated to detain, deter, and deport third country nationals seeking to arrive irregularly to the United States. It is, in fact, a regime created through the externalization of the US and migration control. It is fostered by the International Border Security and Migration Control Agreements, which include economical and technical support and training of security forces by the US. It operates through inspection belts as a border control layers. That is, that while migrants can fairly cross easily without inspection to Mexico, traveling up to north of the country represents a bigger challenge. It is therefore a vertical border. The picture in the left is the graphic of the governmental report explaining these border control layers. The word contention is not accidental. In 16 years of enforcement, the Mexican authorities have detained more than 2 million migrants, 90% of whom were born in the countries known as the Central American Northern Triangle, that is Guatemala, Honduras, and Salvador. In this graph is also showed the increasing number of other nationalities over the past years. As I mentioned before, the regime functioned through migration checkpoints or inspection belts as a border control layers. It is therefore not surprising that during 2015, 76% of the apprehensions were conducted in the southern region, like the more dark areas, Veracruz, Chiapas, Oaxaca. The transit control regime operates through verification operations and raids. These are divided between mobile checkpoints, which are conducted in highways, and raids developed in the so-called black turns. These black turns, there is not a legal definition for it, but refers to the business where prostitution is practiced. Generally, these places have licit business as a facade, such as bars, cantinas, table dances, spas, and so on. Mobile migration checkpoints can be grouped in two types according to the area of influence. Trains and highways. Therefore, there seeks to target two different groups of migrants. The first one, migrants traveling atop of the cargo train, generally traveling alone or someone who has done the travel before. And two, migrants traveling by bus or by other private transportations, generally supported by the services of a smuggler. During 2015, the National Institute of Migration conducted 40,000 verification operations, 61% more than the year before. Once migrants are apprehended, they are transported to the detention centers in patrol vehicles. As been asserted by Walters, means of transportations are not merely an instrument of the migration policy. Its analysis reveals veiled elements of the migration control discourse and practice. In this sense, it is meaningful that because of the use of security grills in the exterior of the vehicles and between the passengers and driver sections, the patrols are known as perreras, kennels. In addition to this explicit connotation to the dehumanization of irregular migrants, the confined movement of this population endorses the imaginary of a population that is dangerous and a threat, because it seems is, after all, a disciplinary movement. The regime has three types of detentions. That is, immigration removal centers, provisional removal stations, type A, provisional removal stations, type B. The distinction is the time that migrants can stay there. In the removal center, no longer than 60 days. In the provisional station type A, no longer than 48 hours. In the type B, no longer than 7 days. In general, provisional stations are temporary facilities to help migrants until they transfer into the detention center. In this sense, there is a direct connotation between the location of the detention facilities through the train route and the states with the highest level of apprehension and the number of detention facilities. So they are mainly located in the south of the country, like contenting the population. In total, the holding capacity of the detention facilities are 4,365. However, most of them usually, in every day, overpass its capacity. The migrant departs from the detention facility to two processes, release and expulsion. The release could be done by the exit of for regulation and a free transit of agreement. According to migration law, 7 circumstances can be for migrant to regularize his migration status. The most common are to have a direct familiar with as a Mexican citizen, is a spouse, a parent, a child, and to have been witness or victim of a crime in Mexican territory. This is the case of the humanitarian visas that are like in this graph. On the other hand, to the free transit agreements, migrants are granted 30 days to leave the country. By other means, this usually implies that the Mexican authorities will turn a blind eye into the irregular transit to the United States. In 2015, the Institute of Migration reported that a little more than 13,000 migrants left the detention facility to regularize their migratory status. This included a lot of extracontinental migrants, for example, migrants from Nepal, migrants from India, from Pakistan, from Senegal, from Cameroon, from Afghanistan. The transit regime entails a vicious circle. For the majority of migrants, the deportation is a U-turn. Data collected by the Survey of Migration Flow demonstrated. An example of this is that 79% of the migrants expelled by the Mexican authorities declared their intention to reattempt their crossing. 52% planning to do it during the 7 days after the deportation. As Neil pointed out, the border circuit seems to be cross, apprehend, deport, and cross again. Over the past years, Mexico has also become a place of refugee. However, there's still a lot of things to do. Around 30% of the applicants do not complete the processes, and only less than 40% of the applications are successful. Regarding the nationality of the refugees, the majority are Central Americans. We must explore more the number of withdrawals and the factors that could be influencing this. For example, in 2015, 26% of the applications were made by migrants in detention facilities, which I can assure you can be a really bad situation. James Anderson and Leah Dodon pointed out that territorial borders, quote, shape and are shaped by what they contain, what they crosses or prevent to cross them, end quote. This statement applies perfectly to the Mexican border, which nowadays is not only shaped by the inspection belts established since 2001, aiming to control transmigration, but has shaped an in-between places in which civil society organization operates. According to Amnesty International, it is thanks to the effort of civil society that many migrants do not succumb on their journey. The action of civil society can be grouped in 3: humanitarian aid, shaming actions, and encouragement of governmental accountability and transparency. I have to point out that the last 2 actions emerged from the partnership of non-governmental organizations and academics. In the first group of actions are encompassed the everyday actions seeking to reduce the vulnerability of transmigrants on their journey, that is, the shelters distributed through the southern and northern region, as well as through the network of trains that connects the country. By 2015, according to the work of Silva, there were 98 migrant shelters in the country. These shelters are focused mainly on providing humanitarian aid to transmigrants, and while these are secular and faith-based, both shapes the argument of human rights above government interests and social justice for migrants. Shelters are usually platforms where migrants regroup, shelter, and depart. However, the work of civil society in shelters hasn't been easy. In most of the times, they face the discontent of local population and authorities, and they also be frequently target of criminal organizations. The second type of actions conducted by civil society is the shaming actions. which aims to conscious awakening about the violence against transmigrants and the failure of the Mexican state to protect human rights within his jurisdiction. It encompasses registering human rights abuses, providing legal assistance to migrants, and in general, to challenge the invisibility of the crisis. For example, by creating reports, circulating these reports in international forums, and strengthening the networks within international human rights organizations. Another response of the civil society has been the encouragement of governmental accountability and transparency through the involvement in citizen committees, such as the Citizen Committee of the Migration Institute, which is an interesting approach since it aims to push accountability from inside and gives a privileged position to point out the aspects of the system that need to be changed and could be improved. This, of course, is a work in progress, but highlights the existence of a window of opportunity for a more human management of the migration flows to Mexico. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Amalia. Indeed, the problem is really complex in that region, and I'm sure researchers from both Americas would be very interested in talking to you during the break and during the Q&A session. Our next speaker is from Lebanon, Dr. Maryse Tannous Jomaa, sorry. She has filled many positions at St. Joseph University in Lebanon since 1986, where she's currently the director of the Lebanese School of Social Work. And since 2004, she has created and launched a unique academic diploma in Lebanon, University degree in social entrepreneurship at the Lebanese School of Social Work. And of course, Lebanon is so focused on the refugees and so focused on their education that it would be great to hear the story.
Merci beaucoup pour l'introduction. Je vais parler en français. Alors, ma présentation sera divisée en deux parties. La première est une contextualisation qui permet de mieux comprendre le pays. La deuxième concerne les actions de l'Université Saint-Joseph et les défis à relever. Voilà. Le contexte libanais et ses mutations. Donc, le Liban connaît aujourd'hui une profonde transformation sociodémographique due à un nombre croissant de Syriens réfugiés, équivalent au quart de sa population. Le Liban est un pays démocratique. Son régime est capitaliste libéral. Sa constitution multiconfessionnelle, unique au monde, nous avons 19 communautés religieuses, a poussé sa sainteté le pape Jean-Paul II à dire que le Liban est plus qu'un pays, c'est une mission. Et sa sainteté parlait du vivre ensemble dans la liberté et le respect de la diversité. Néanmoins, la force du Liban a constitué une vulnérabilité pour deux raisons. La première raison est relative à 15 ans de guerre et 30 ans d'occupation syrienne aux lourdes conséquences. On assiste à l'affaiblissement du rôle de l'État central, notamment dans les politiques sociales et la gestion des services aux citoyens. En revanche, le secteur associatif s'active sur tout le territoire, soutenu par les organisations internationales et les entreprises privées. La deuxième raison de la vulnérabilité du Liban revient à sa situation géographique. Il est aux prises avec les conflits régionaux, politiques, militaires et ou religieux. Son activité économique est freinée, sa population s'appauvrit, ses jeunes au chômage empruntent la voie de l'immigration. Qui sont ces réfugiés depuis mars 2011 et jusqu'à date? Mars 2011, début du soulèvement syrien, des millions de familles se réfugient dans le monde entier. Une bonne partie se retrouve au Liban, pays voisin aux frontières perméables. N'ayant pas signé la Convention de Genève en 1951 relative aux droits des réfugiés, le Liban ne reconnaît donc pas le droit d'asile. Cependant, il traite les demandes d'asile sur le territoire libanais en vue d'une réinstallation dans un pays tiers. Ainsi, le Liban représente un pays de transit pour des milliers de réfugiés fuyant la guerre et les régimes dictatoriaux. La population au Liban, selon le gouvernement libanais et les Nations Unies, la population au Liban a augmenté de 25%, ce qui correspond à 1 100 000 réfugiés syriens enregistrés. Je dis bien enregistrés parce qu'il y en a beaucoup plus, sur un total de 4 millions de Libanais. 80% des réfugiés sont des femmes et des enfants, 72% des ménages ont un enfant de moins de 5 ans, 72% sont incapables de satisfaire à leurs besoins de base et 39% ont des besoins spécifiques. De plus, on compte 7 500 réfugiés d'autres pays et autour de 400 000 réfugiés palestiniens. Au total, 1 sur 4 personnes est déplacée au Liban. Lors de sa visite au Liban, le président de la Banque mondiale a rencontré les jeunes universitaires pour partager sa vision pour le monde arabe. Et lorsque les jeunes ont pris la parole, ils ont à l'unanimité souligné la situation économique précaire du peuple libanais et le problème du chômage. Ils réclamèrent que l'aide soit également offerte aux Libanais qui accueillent les réfugiés et partagent avec eux leurs maigres ressources. Dans quelles conditions vivent ces réfugiés? Au premier moment de la crise, la plupart se sont abrités chez certains Libanais avec qui ils entretiennent des relations familiales ou amicales. Plus tard, et avec le flux en masse, il fallait prévoir des points de rassemblement et de nouvelles locations. Les cartes suivantes démontrent, à travers les points rouges, la progression de leur répartition sur les années. En 2017, on compte 1 100 000 personnes, sinon plus. 67% louent des appartements ou des logements modestes. Le reste réside dans des lieux de rassemblement et des abris de fortune. 92% des eaux usées sont sans traitement, avec 40% d'augmentation des coûts municipaux pour le traitement des déchets. Sur d'autres plans, 55% des réfugiés sont endettés, 52% vivent sous le seuil de la pauvreté, 221 000 enfants demeurent non scolarisés, sans parler des conditions défectueuses d'hygiène, de santé, de grossesse d'enfants dans la rue et de personnes à besoins spécifiques. Quelle a été en bref l'évolution des stratégies d'action sociale depuis 2011 jusqu'à date? À l'arrivée, les services à caractère humanitaire consistaient à assurer l'accueil, le logement et les services de base, à assister psychologiquement les personnes traumatisées, soutenir et protéger les femmes et les enfants victimes de violences. Et plus tard, avec la dégradation militaire, le retour au pays d'origine devient une polémique aussi bien politique qu'humanitaire. S'agit-il d'un abri momentané dans le pays d'accueil ou d'un séjour à long terme? Comment les communautés d'accueil réagissent-elles à ce vivre ensemble imposé et qui semble perdurer? Comment continuer à délivrer les services de base et amorcer des actions stratégiques? Avec la persistance de la violence dans la région, il fallait penser au moyen terme, où Libanais et Syriens avaient à s'entraider pour répondre à la crise. Ceci n'était pas de toute évidence. Les hôtes libanais sont majoritairement tiraillés entre la sensibilité humanitaire et le fantôme du passé, de l'occupation syrienne. Néanmoins, les actions sociales entreprises ont pris une tournure éducative et développementale. Nous citons la réintégration scolaire des enfants et ses défis, la culture de la résilience, la cohésion entre Libanais et réfugiés à travers la gestion des conflits, la médiation et l'éducation à la paix, ce qu'on appelle les participatory assessments pour l'étude des besoins des communautés syriennes, la mobilisation de volontaires syriens et libanais comme réseau d'entraide. Parallèlement et du côté stratégique, suite au Congrès de Londres en février 2016, 3 priorités pour l'année 2020 furent retenues. L'idée étant d'offrir un renfort aux pays qui ont le plus accueilli des réfugiés, comme le Liban. La première priorité, c'est de limiter l'aide humanitaire aux catégories les plus vulnérables. C'est-à-dire qu'il y a moins d'aide, donc il fallait limiter. La deuxième priorité est de renforcer les capacités des systèmes nationaux et locaux pour délivrer une meilleure qualité de service, s'assurer que les réfugiés peuvent bénéficier de politiques d'éducation et de protection nationale. Mais en réalité, juste avant notre départ pour Rome, des fonds relatifs à la protection ont été interrompus. Pour vous dire les priorités. Troisième priorité est de développer la stabilité économique et renforcer la cohésion et le vivre ensemble. Le choix de ces priorités se heurte actuellement à un débat majeur sur le retour des déplacés. En effet, comme vous le savez, des prises de position se manifestent aujourd'hui sur leur avenir et à tous les niveaux. Le ton s'élève mondialement et localement. Les acteurs politiques et sociaux se prononcent, les uns en faveur d'un retour inconditionnel, estimant que les conditions de sécurité sont établies. Les autres observent, collectent des informations et préfèrent attendre, estimant que la décision du retour collectif est prématurée et que le choix peut être personnel. Dans ce contexte ambigu et complexe, l'Université Saint-Joseph s'implique dans la problématique des réfugiés. Fidèle à sa mission, celle d'être au service de l'homme et de la société, et forte de son expérience pendant la guerre du Liban, l'USJ a prêté une attention particulière aux problèmes des réfugiés syriens. Elle s'est lancée à travers ses institutions dans une démarche novatrice pour œuvrer contre la discrimination et contribuer à l'instauration des droits humains et de la paix civile. Les défis auxquels elle s'est confrontée se sont basés sur 3 questions essentielles. Comment impliquer ces étudiants dans une telle démarche alors que le milieu d'accueil affiche paradoxalement des sentiments de compassion et d'hostilité? Comment modéliser ces activités académiques pour soutenir le professionnalisme et développer l'esprit citoyen? Et quel projet peut-elle promouvoir pour anticiper les changements et tendre vers un développement plus durable? Sur ce, plusieurs initiatives furent lancées. Je ne les exposerai pas toutes, mais quelques exemples tirés, par exemple, de l'École libanaise de formation sociale, de la Faculté des lettres et des sciences humaines, de l'Institut des sciences politiques, de la Faculté de droit. Et l'opération 7e jour, une entité transversale à l'USJ qui insuffle une dynamique bénévole et citoyenne dans la vie étudiante. Au plan des cursus académiques et de la formation continue, les programmes d'études initialement faibles en matière de migration forcée se sont vus renforcés par des enseignements en matière de refuge, de crise humanitaire et d'intervention en situation d'urgence, d'approche interculturelle, de médiation et paix civile, précarité et inclusion sociale, gestion de risques et développement durable. Pour les professionnels en exercice, des sessions accélérées furent adressées non seulement aux travailleurs sociaux libanais, mais aussi à des acteurs actifs sur le territoire syrien. Ainsi, plusieurs formations continues se sont déroulées en partenariat avec JRS sur les frontières libano-syriennes. À l'Institut des sciences politiques, une série de cours planifiés avec le HCR, des conférences en collaboration avec le Centre de réfugiés d'Oxford, dont les sujets ont porté sur les dernières recherches sur la migration forcée, les cadres juridiques et le rôle des tribunaux internationaux, le rôle de l'Union européenne, une comparaison des réponses du Liban, de la Jordanie et de la Turquie. Des discussions eurent lieu avec des invités d'institutions publiques et privées et la fréquentation était massive. Du côté des étudiants, il était impératif d'explorer la perception qu'ils ont du problème des réfugiés, afin de nous permettre de mieux cibler nos interventions dans le cadre de la formation. À cet effet, une enquête a été menée auprès des étudiants de l'école sociale. Les réponses recueillies ont reflété plusieurs types de sentiments, allant de la compassion à l'hostilité. Voici quelques propos, à commencer par les positifs. Tout ce qui se passe est aberrant. Pas évident de tout quitter derrière soi et partir vers l'inconnu. Tout cela d'un coup et malgré soi. Offrir une présence, être à l'écoute, bref, se rendre utile, voilà ce que je voudrais faire. Par contre, d'autres propos expriment de l'amertume, voire de l'hostilité. Nous, les Libanais qui avons bien souffert de l'occupation syrienne, maintenant on devrait leur venir en aide. Comment faire lorsque des membres de nos familles avaient péri sous leur torture? Honnêtement, et même si je pense que les réfugiés ont droit à la sécurité, je préfère qu'ils rentrent chez eux. Le Liban est un pays déjà souffrant. Ses maigres ressources ne supportent pas d'être partagées. Des propos qui reflètent l'ambivalence. Les réfugiés, pour moi, sont des victimes, mais en même temps, leur présence ici au Liban me rend mal à l'aise. Pour moi, c'est un sentiment de tristesse, mais aussi de peur. Face à ces sentiments variés, il fallait prendre des initiatives et cultiver des valeurs positives. Il a fallu créer des contacts directs avec les populations sinistrées. Écouter, sentir et s'émouvoir pouvait réduire des préjugés et apaiser les craintes. Ainsi, plusieurs stages d'étudiants furent favorisés auprès des réfugiés. Une convention avec le UNHCR fut établie, dans laquelle plusieurs chantiers ont été organisés sur le terrain. À l'ordre du jour, diagnostic participatif de besoins, programme d'éducation, mobilisation communautaire et comité de quartier. De plus, un cours optionnel USJ intitulé Actions bénévoles et citoyennes mérite d'être souligné. Organisé sur les week-ends par des animateurs sociaux, il permet aux étudiants de s'engager dans des actions concrètes sur le terrain. Des centaines d'inscriptions ont été enregistrées et multiples activités auprès des réfugiés se sont déroulées. Ceci a imposé une organisation de taille et des collaborations avec des ONG actives sur le terrain. L'évaluation de ce cours parle d'elle-même. Avant l'activité, j'étais méfiante envers les réfugiés, disent les étudiants. Après, je me suis sentie tout émue et fière de moi-même, avec beaucoup d'empathie pour eux. Cette rencontre a cassé l'idée que j'avais d'eux et m'a révélé la puissance d'être là, solidaire à leur côté. Une autre, je n'avais en tête que l'image d'un réfugié qui dévastait mon espace, mais pour lequel j'avais pitié. Pourtant, les 20 réfugiés qui dansaient, chantaient et jouaient ne veulent pas de notre pitié. Ils sont assez courageux pour pouvoir rire. La pitié peut se remplacer par le respect et l'acceptation, source de tolérance. Sur le plan de la recherche et des publications, la problématique du refuge et des crises humanitaires est d'actualité et constitue un objet d'intérêt pour les chercheurs locaux et internationaux. Les mémoires et les thèses ne manquent pas d'originalité. Certains ont été jusqu'à souligner les retombées positives de la présence des réfugiés au Liban. Les recherches institutionnelles, couplées de publications, comme celle de l'Institut des Sciences Po avec HCR, qui a lancé en 2015 un sondage sur la perception des réfugiés sur la sécurité au Liban. Une équipe d'enseignants-chercheurs avec 20 étudiants libanais et syriens ont mené 1800 enquêtes dans 120 localisations au Liban. Un deuxième sondage de suivi fut organisé un an plus tard en collaboration avec l'Observatoire universitaire de la réalité sociale et économique pour évaluer les changements avec les mêmes indicateurs et la même dynamique. Aujourd'hui, l'ISP s'apprête à publier en collaboration avec HCR 6 articles sur les migrations forcées. À l'école sociale, un projet de recherche est en cours d'élaboration avec des partenaires locaux et étrangers. Et le sujet se précise de manière à tenir compte de toutes les possibilités, leur retour dans leur milieu d'origine ou leur séjour prolongé dans leur milieu d'accueil. En même temps, des sollicitations proviennent pour des coopérations dans le cadre de réseaux de recherche européens et internationaux. Les thématiques d'intérêt se centrent sur la prévention de la radicalisation et les études de cas dans le domaine du refuge. De même, nos enseignants-chercheurs sont interpellés pour intégrer des comités scientifiques de revues spécialisés. Quant au plan du soutien au système institutionnel opérant auprès des populations réfugiées, plusieurs projets ont vu le jour, commandités à la base par des ONG internationales. À titre d'exemple, nous citons un projet initié par l'UNICEF en collaboration avec le ministère des Affaires sociales. Son but est celui de renforcer la politique de protection des enfants en danger, dont les réfugiés syriens. Un deuxième projet avec Catholic Relief Service pour développer les compétences des ONG auprès des populations vulnérables. Ce projet a nécessité l'implantation d'une unité permanente à l'USJ, USJ Mentor Unit, qui accueille aujourd'hui des demandes d'expertise et des projets de capacity building. Sur le plan de la dynamique internationale de l'USJ, en lien avec la problématique des réfugiés, nous accueillons des étudiants syriens qui complètent leurs études et d'autres étudiants étrangers en mobilité, dont plusieurs proviennent d'un master international en action humanitaire. Le Liban et l'USJ constituent particulièrement un pôle d'attraction dans la mesure où il facilite les séjours scientifiques et favorise à travers les enseignements et les stages la compréhension de la réalité complexe du refuge. Quant aux enseignants et chercheurs étrangers, l'intérêt est encore plus important dans la mesure où l'université leur offre la possibilité d'enrichir leur savoir. Comme nous le voyons sur l'écran, les professeurs étrangers provenant d'universités prestigieuses ont animé des conférences, des séminaires, ainsi que des journées interactives auprès des réfugiés. Dans le cas inverse, les enseignants de l'USJ ont répondu à l'invitation d'universités étrangères et d'associations internationales de formation, de recherche et d'action sociale pour exposer le cas du Liban et des réponses apportées à cette question. Porto, Paris, Genève, Montréal, Melbourne et bien d'autres villes, et maintenant Rome, accueillant des congrès scientifiques furent sillonnés. L'impact sur le public fut évident en termes de sensibilisation, mais surtout de relativisation. Pour juillet 2019, j'ai le plaisir d'annoncer la tenue d'un congrès international de travail social à Beyrouth, organisé par l'EFRIS sur le thème de la citoyenneté et du vivre ensemble. Et la question des réfugiés sera à l'ordre du jour. Je fais de la pub, les préparatifs sont actuellement en cours et nous espérons vous avoir parmi nous. En conclusion, quels défis pour l'Université Saint-Joseph? Les défis sont nombreux. Et l'Université Saint-Joseph est encore appelée à les relever dans un contexte où les crises humanitaires perdent leur caractère humanitaire pour se transformer en enjeux politiques des grandes nations. En l'absence d'une perspective claire sur le devenir des populations déplacées et face au fanatisme haineux et aux dictatures qui se maintiennent, l'université demeure le lieu privilégié pour cultiver les valeurs de liberté, de démocratie, de pluralisme et des droits humains. Ses principaux défis seraient de mobiliser chez les étudiants les valeurs de solidarité pour s'élever au rang du citoyen engagé, participant à la construction du bien commun et de la paix civile, de conjuguer la formation académique à la formation culturelle, avec ce qu'elle comporte au Liban de richesse au niveau de la coexistence et de la non-discrimination, de renforcer l'expression de la démocratie en créant des synergies avec l'État, la société civile, le secteur privé et les citoyens, et surtout d'investir dans la recherche pour scientifiser le débat autour des réfugiés, contourner les écueils de la politisation et proposer les alternatives aux problèmes réels. Mesdames et messieurs, la question des réfugiés devient pressante au Liban, qui est sur le point de rentrer dans une période électorale et où le gouvernement doit continuer à répondre aux demandes des parties prenantes. L'occasion du changement se présente et l'Université Saint-Joseph sera là pour accompagner les développements et soutenir la collaboration constructive entre les ONG, la société civile, les institutions publiques, les médias et les milieux universitaires, entre les réfugiés, les observateurs et les décideurs. Si le refuge est un immense bouleversement, nous croyons qu'il est aussi une formidable leçon d'espérance et de foi dans un devenir meilleur. Et comme le dit bien un poète allemand, là où croit le péril, croit aussi ce qui sauve. Merci.
Merci beaucoup, Dr. Maryse. It's indeed really important in the region, especially what you said in your concluding notes, that forming human beings that will promote peace in the region is just so crucial in Lebanon. And thank you for the outstanding work that you're doing there We will come back to this region in a second, or rather in 15 minutes, and now we're moving to Africa. Our next speaker, Madame Rosalinda Corbi, from 1986 was responsible for cooperation and development at the Istituto per la Cooperazione Universitaria, ICU, here in Italy, and from 2002 is responsible for projects of cooperation with Africa, for a wonderful foundation that is doing a lot of good in the region in Africa, Harambee International. Please welcome Madame Rosalinda Corbi.
Grazie per questa presentazione, grazie a tutti voi per averci invitati qui. Parlerò italiano, forse sono la prima, però potendolo. Allora, io lavoro per Harambee da ormai 15 anni, è nata nel 2002, è un'organizzazione che ha un obiettivo in concreto, aiutare programmi di cooperazione che abbiano come fondamento l'educazione. L'educazione intesa nel suo duplice significato, da una parte aiutare le persone, aiutare un po' nel senso latino, nel senso di educere, sostenerle, perché ognuno trovi nella propria vita, nella propria realtà la possibilità di realizzarsi, e dall'altra ovviamente gli aiuti materiali necessari. Harambee ha firmato con l'Università Pontificia della Santa Croce qui a Roma un accordo. Questa università ha molti studenti che vengono dall'Africa e questi studenti hanno creato un think tank e ci aiutano e ci sostengono, collaborano con noi per tutto quello che riguarda gli aspetti appunto del nostro lavoro, di conoscenza del territorio, in caso di concorsi che lanciamo, di comunicazione eccetera, fanno parte della giuria. Quando arrivano a noi dei progetti che chiedono un sostegno economico, ci danno una mano per capire se effettivamente sono ben collocati, ben pensati e aiutano la popolazione. Quindi è una collaborazione incredibilmente utile per noi e molto forte. Però diciamo quello che è il nostro lavoro prevalente è aiutare l'Africa e i progetti in Africa, Africa subsahariana. Una delle università, per esempio, con le quali ormai da anni collaboriamo per le loro attività sociali, si chiama Strathmore University. Strathmore è in Nairobi, in Kenya. È una università, diciamo, ad un livello... ho dimenticato le slides. Scusate. Questa era l'Università Pontificia con uno degli studenti che ci sta dando una mano concretamente. E sto andando avanti troppo. Strathmore University, come dicevo, è una università ormai molto importante, ben riconosciuta anche all'estero. Vengono studenti da vari paesi dell'Africa. Sta crescendo a un buon passo e aggiungendo vari dipartimenti, per cui adesso c'è accountancy, economia, ingegneria, sta per partire medicina, insomma ha un suo peso, diciamo, in Kenya. Gli studenti che vanno in questa università in realtà sono la prima generazione che sta svolgendo dei corsi, degli studi che permetterà loro di entrare in un circuito anche internazionale di livello importante. Allora questa università si è creata il problema: è possibile che queste persone che hanno molto, hanno ricevuto molto, che cosa danno indietro al loro paese? Qual è la responsabilità sociale di questi ragazzi nei confronti dei luoghi di provenienza, delle famiglie di provenienza? Per questo è nato un dipartimento di volontariato dove i ragazzi, gli alunni, sono obbligati a frequentare almeno 3 mesi dei corsi di preparazione e poi delle attività pratiche nei luoghi di provenienza. Altri studenti che hanno frequentato l'università comunque continuano a partecipare perché ormai legati, diciamo, sentimentalmente all'università e a questo dipartimento in particolare. Abbiamo finanziato insieme con Harambee diverse di queste attività sociali. alcune delle quali appunto in carcere, per esempio, corsi brevi per detenuti. E accompagnandoli era fantastico vedere che praticamente questi ragazzi avevano i parenti, i genitori e amici che erano nelle carceri. Era quasi una festa, no? andare lì e passare del tempo con dei detenuti. È nato anche un progetto che si chiama Maceo. Questo progetto è nato negli slum. Molti ragazzi dell'università venivano da questo slum, da Kibera. Si sa che la vita negli slum è terribile, no? Ci sono droga, alcolismo, problemi di famiglia, di coesione familiare, c'è molta violenza, corruzione. Questi ragazzi dall'università vanno nelle scuole pubbliche e nel pomeriggio lavorano insieme con i migliori studenti. Li aiutano magari a completare le lacune. E ci vanno vestiti in giacca, in cravatta, vestiti molto bene, per dimostrare che effettivamente loro erano uno di loro e che questi ragazzi possono effettivamente cambiare la loro vita studiando seriamente e raggiungendo dei voti alti. I migliori studenti sono invitati nell'università ogni sabato, hanno delle lezioni ad hoc, mangiano nella mensa dell'università, possono anche approfittare di tutto quello che sono le strutture sportive dell'università. Tutto questo perché alla fine del percorso scolastico i migliori vengono selezionati e entreranno nell'università gratuitamente, grazie a delle borse di studio che stiamo continuando a cercare. Tutto questo sempre nell'ottica di restituire, di aiutare, di diminuire il gap tra chi entrerà in una società a un livello molto alto, magari da imprenditore. Questa università ha anche un counseling center e un incubator dove i ragazzi appunto possono iniziare al termine degli studi un business proprio o inserirsi nel circuito, no? Dell'industria. Però non possono dimenticare persone come loro, che magari meritano e che non hanno la fortuna che loro hanno avuto. Il saper restituire. E questo è fondamentale. Ci sono due, per esempio, Domitila Ayot e suo marito, che sono tornati a Kibera, da dove provenivano, sono ormai due professionisti e stanno aiutando le ragazze che sono rimaste incinta e che appunto hanno come unica prospettiva l'aborto. Questa donna li va a cercare, dà loro una speranza, un aiuto in tutti i sensi, porta con loro, con queste ragazze, le affianca per tutta la gravidanza e le sostiene all'inizio di una vita difficile con maggiori responsabilità. Un altro progetto che Strathmore porta avanti si chiama Kwetu, che in Swahili vuol dire our home, casa nostra, è per ragazzi di strada. Sono ragazzi che raggiungono questo centro per avere un pasto, per poter dormire una notte, per toglierli, diciamo, dalla strada. Quello che l'università però fa è che si impegna a conoscere i genitori o i luoghi di provenienza per cercare di restituirli in maniera sana, insomma, cercando di ricollegare, di riallacciare i legami tra i ragazzi e le famiglie dopo ovviamente un periodo di riabilitazione. Tutti questi progetti, ma ce ne sarebbero molti altri, per esempio un altro che ha avuto molto successo è stato con le scuole. Molti ragazzi venivano da orfanotrofi o da scuole pubbliche in tutto il territorio del Kenya. Siamo andati a trovare queste scuole, gli orfanotrofi, e alla fine è nato un filo, diciamo, un gruppo di responsabili delle scuole a cui abbiamo dato sostegno, riqualificazione. Erano tutti molto demotivati. La scuola pubblica è un po', diciamo, abbandonata e gli insegnanti fanno quello che possono, ma indubbiamente senza mezzi e con classi di 80, 60, 70 bambini di varia età è difficile. L'università si è reso conto che la formazione di base è fondamentale per poi poter studiare e accedere a studi superiori. dal Ministero dell'Educazione sono venuti, ci hanno ringraziato, avevano anche previsto un extra wage per un denaro in più per gli insegnanti che avrebbero frequentato questi corsi. E di fatto questi soldi non arrivavano mai perché si perdevano nella pubblica amministrazione tra un ufficio e l'altro. Abbiamo bloccato tutto, questo programma, voglio dire, è andata avanti questa storia per diversi mesi, fino a che non si è trovato il sistema di pagare direttamente gli insegnanti, e il programma sta andando bene e diciamo con molto successo. E in una settimana soltanto di informazione si sono iscritti tipo 9.000 insegnanti, insomma, per darvi un po' il numero del lavoro che si fa. Ora, i progetti che abbiamo svolto in questi 15 anni sono circa 70 in 22 diversi paesi e ogni volta in ogni progetto ci siamo trovati con i problemi dell'immigrazione. Alcuni esempi. E in Costa d'Avorio, per esempio, si è lanciato un progetto che era per combattere la malnutrizione. La Costa d'Avorio pochi anni fa ha conosciuto dei periodi veramente difficili di guerre interne, sempre per motivi di elezione politica, di presidenti, eccetera. Si sono mosse masse di persone, si sono stanziate intorno alle città cercando appunto qui un pochino di pace, soprattutto donne e bambini. La malnutrizione è stata un po' una conseguenza di questi spostamenti. Allora, accanto a questo fenomeno della malnutrizione, quello che si è cercato di aiutare era anche dare formazione di base, formazione professionale e literacy, cioè il saper leggere, scrivere, eccetera. Per cui accanto, diciamo, a un recupero fisico si è data attraverso il lavoro la possibilità di un'integrazione, anche voglio dire, saper leggere e scrivere in francese non è un dettaglio da poco, perché sono persone appunto che parlavano varie lingue, di varie etnie, di vari gruppi, e hanno trovato nel francese la lingua comune, una possibilità attraverso il lavoro di inserirsi senza problemi. Un altro progetto in Camerun è un progetto nell'estremo nord del Camerun, una zona molto deserta, dove il Daesh sta un po' come dire, intervenendo e forzando le persone a migrare verso il sud. Un distretto, il distretto di Mogong, con delle scuole, ci ha chiesto un aiuto pratico, libri, mobili per la scuola, eccetera. Aver dato questo piccolo aiuto li ha aiutati a scoprire che c'è qualcuno che crede in un futuro migliore per loro, e hanno deciso, per quello che potranno, di rimanere lì dove sono e di resistere finché è loro possibile. Ma insomma basta veramente poco per dare una speranza e un'apertura al futuro, anche in condizioni veramente un po' difficili come si trovano loro in questo momento. Un'esperienza invece che non ha avuto un gran successo, diciamo, e che ci ha lasciato un po' con l'amaro in bocca, è stato con le suore canossiane in Sudan. Per la traduzione è tardi? 5 minuti. Ok. Con le canossiane perché loro erano molto legate a questo paese perché Bakita, no? È la santa loro protettrice, e quindi il loro problema era proprio questo, rimanere lì malgrado tutto. Purtroppo sono state obbligate a quello che insegnavano loro era l'inglese, perché è la doppia lingua, no? Scritto in arabo ma scritto anche con i nostri caratteri, perché cercavano di aiutare questi ragazzi anche a trovare un futuro da un'altra parte, insomma poter espatriare, eccetera. E invece sono state chiuse le frontiere, sono state costrette ad andare avanti con i mezzi che avevano, senza nessuna possibilità né di sostegno esterno né di essere rimpiazzate. Ora queste suore sono rimaste isolate e sono abbastanza anziane. Adesso, volendo arrivare proprio molto alla conclusione, così termino, qual è il problema? In Africa i flussi migratori ci sono sempre stati, hanno sempre cercato per tradizioni territori migliori dove stare, per motivi anche proprio di dar da mangiare agli animali, di sopravvivere, di trovare appunto una situazione anche per loro stessi migliore. Il problema qual è adesso? L'accoglienza, la differenza di lingue, la differenza etnica, diciamo che sostanzialmente non sono una grande difficoltà. Ma allora vuol dire che veramente non c'è il problema. Il problema si crea e diventa anche molto duro in occasione appunto di elezioni, di quando ci sono l'assegnazione di posti di un certo peso nella pubblica amministrazione. Dove voglio arrivare? Che la corruzione purtroppo è quello che limita qualsiasi cosa. Noi abbiamo lavorato per anni con un'università di Lagos, questa università ha aspettato 19 anni per essere riconosciuta come università. Ora, so che è difficile delle volte poter incidere in una realtà come questa, però si può se ognuno fa la propria parte. Aver interrotto un programma semplice come quello dei maestri, questa università che si è imposta. E guardate che la cosa strana è che dopo che uno resiste, sembra impossibile, ma si è molto più rispettati, veramente si è ascoltati, cioè si è visti come persone diverse. Questo aiuta anche molto poi nel rapporto con la pubblica amministrazione, per assurdo. Termino con una ultima cosa, che Harambee, questa Pan African University era quella che ha aspettato 19 anni l'essere riconosciuti. L'ultima cosa a cui che vi voglio presentare è il programma questo Youth, Harambee Youth. Sono studenti universitari dei vari comitati che Harambee ha in Europa, molti dei quali sono polacchi. Questa ha avuto l'origine in Polonia, sono 20-25 ragazzi studenti di medicina che sono andati diversi anni in Kenya e adesso piano piano stanno aggregando intorno a loro spagnoli, italiani, svizzeri, l'anno prossimo anche francesi, per attività in Africa. Ora io mi domando, questo è utile all'Africa? Sarà anche utile all'Africa, ma è soprattutto utile a studenti europei, perché sicuramente stando lì li ho visti di anno in anno come hanno cambiato mentalità, approccio, come hanno capito che cosa vuol dire aiutare e vi assicuro che vedono adesso l'immigrazione, gli africani che vengono in Europa con occhi diversi, con una capacità diversa, con una sensibilità diversa. Tutto qui. Mi fermo. Grazie.
Molto grazie, Linda. Indeed, the regional reality is especially important to take into consideration in places like Africa, but also in places like Lesbos that we discussed earlier, or Burma. So I'm sure this is interesting for many researchers in that room, and thank you for this African point of view that you just gave us. And we're coming back to the Middle East now with Dr. Stephen Rasche, who is an international lawyer who has been on the staff of the Catholic Archdiocese of Erbil in northern Iraq since the beginning of the crisis in 2014. His work responsibilities include Director of IDB Programs, Vice Chancellor of Catholic University of Erbil, and Director of Nineveh Reconstruction Committee. And in these capacities, he has also testified before US Congress, EU Parliament, UK House of Lords on issues surrounding displaced minority populations, and knowing what is happening actually right now in Iraq and in Erbil, unfortunately, it is really a blessing to have Dr. Rasche with us today, and I'm pleased to give you the floor.
Good morning, and I'm very grateful to be here with you all today, so that I can learn from you. In the introduction, Paulina was good enough to give you a brief background on our situation, but I'll give you a short history of the Catholic University in Erbil, and I'm here today representing our university, our young university. We were born in the middle of the war. We held our first administrative opening in December of 2014, and we were opened with a generous grant from the Italian Conference of Catholic Bishops. And if anyone is here from the conference, thank you, thank you. When we opened, the situation in Iraq was, we had just, we're in the beginning stages of learning how to deal with all the displaced citizens, displaced people from the Nineveh Plain and Mosul. When ISIS attacked in 2014, it created nearly 1 million displaced people in northern Iraq. And because of some unique situations on the ground there, the Christian population, which had to flee Nineveh and Mosul in a number of approximately 130,000 people, all became wards of the Catholic Church in northern Iraq, primarily the Archdiocese of Erbil. So overnight, a small archdiocese, very small by Western standards, became a de facto major humanitarian aid organization. And we had to decide, what were we going to do? Were we simply going to facilitate the minimum basic needs of these people, or were we going to provide them a reason for hope and a reason to stay? And as a Catholic Church, we had different views on this than perhaps some of the institutional aid organizations might have otherwise had. And so it was very important for us from the outset that we provide the people with the means of hope and dignity as human beings so that they would have incentive to stay and not simply to flee like so many others were doing. So the Catholic University then, Catholic University of Erbil, fits into this context. It was part of the program to provide the displaced people with some hope that there was still a future that could be had. We are the Catholic University in Erbil, that is our name, and we fought very hard to get it. There were forces against us in the Ministry of Higher Education in Kurdistan, in Erbil, and in Baghdad, and that worked very hard to get us to change that name, which we refused to do. And in the end, our stubbornness won out. We are the only university with the word Catholic in it in the Middle Eastern world. And I'm very pleased to say that, that just recently we received our official acknowledgement of registration from the Ministry of Higher Education in Baghdad. And for those of you who have any familiarity with Iraq in the last years, that we were able to get this official recognition is nothing short of a miracle. We are the only private university in Iraq to have received this, to have received recognition from the Ministry of Higher Education in Baghdad in many, many years. So that is something we're quite proud of, and it gives us a basis now to build from. One of the issues that we had was that when we opened up, we had our approval from the Ministry of Higher Education in Erbil, but not from Baghdad. And Iraq is a fractured state whose future is uncertain right now. I'll get into that in just a bit. So that when we approached international partners, when we approached governments, for instance, when we spoke with the United States government about Fulbright scholarships for some of our students, our problem was, unless we were registered with the Ministry of Higher Education in Baghdad, we didn't qualify. So that's a big hurdle for us. A couple of other quick things about our university and the history of Catholic higher education in Iraq. There is, in fact, a long history of Catholic higher education in Iraq, courtesy of the Jesuit fathers. And I'm pleased to see some of our friends from the Jesuit fathers here today. There was a Jesuit college in Baghdad, which existed from the 1930s up until the late 1960s. It was founded by the Jesuit fathers of the New England province in the United States, primarily from Boston College and some of the other Catholic universities in the Northeast. It was eventually closed by Saddam in 1969, Saddam Hussein, and all the property was nationalized. But nevertheless, it left behind a legacy of scholars and educated members of society that has a very strong carryover. So in many ways, our university is the heir or are the heirs to this legacy that was left behind by the Jesuit fathers. And we're hopeful that, our new beginning in northern Iraq can continue to build on that. What's the situation in northern Iraq right now? I've said all these good things about what we're trying to do. The reality is northern Iraq is incredibly complex and difficult. As we speak today, last night the ceasefire between the Kurdish government and the central government in Baghdad failed. It is possible that real war may break out again today, tomorrow, the next day. If that in fact happens, it will happen on top of the Christian communities, at least in part, out in the Nineveh Plain. Some communities which we in fact have just finished rebuilding and resettling. And as we speak here right now, we're trying to make the decision on whether to evacuate about 5,000 people from the town of Teleskov that we just finished moving back in. It was said earlier today that 34,000 people per day are forced to leave their homes, and 5,000 of them today are these people from Teleskov. So I'd ask you to please pray for them. Moving on a bit now to some of the ideas that I've been thinking of as I listen to the situation for the universities that are here today. Our situation is a bit unique. Most of you here today speak from positions of stability, in places of stability, from places that are not conflict zones. We're on the other end of the spectrum. We're trying to open a university in the middle of a conflict zone. And in doing so, we've sought quite hard to establish relationships, meaningful relationships with universities, establish universities in non-conflict zones so that we can help each other. And in terms of what can we do to help you, in the context of what you study and what you're trying to address, Iraq, northern Iraq in particular, is really the case study, a living case study for everything it is that you're looking at. We have refugees, we have internally displaced people, we have genocide, we have ethnic cleansing, we have disputed territories, we have massive NGO operations working on the ground, some with success, others not without so much success. So all of these things are all happening in real time in Iraq. And one of the things that I would offer up to you today is to understand at great risk and at great cost, we've opened this university. It's a Catholic university. It's right in the middle of all of this. We desperately need help. But at the same time, we are there as a place of we think, invaluable use to really study what is the real-world impact of some of these difficult issues that you're all trying to tackle on your end. So in that vein, there are a couple of things that we would like to mention, things that we've seen that might bear some thinking for the other universities here. The first of these is that the role of study as it pertains to refugees and migrants, I think that's one group short. Internally displaced people, okay? Internally displaced people. These in the context of people who don't want to leave, people who want to go back to their homes as soon as they can get back there. And I think, especially in the West, it's a natural conclusion to simply look at these things from the context of people who want to get out of their countries and go someplace else. But that excludes quite a bit of the displaced population that exists in the world today. There are 60-something million people that are displaced, and not all of them want to go someplace else. A lot of them just want to go home. And the amount of research and coverage and advocacy that goes on for people that want to leave or want to resettle, I think sometimes overwhelms the very valid and important case of people who are just looking for the opportunity to go home. So this is the first observation that I would make. The second thing is, in terms of actually doing work in these areas, as universities, there's increasingly an element of being risk averse. And I'll tell you a short story here in a second that illustrates this. But what I mean is the subject that we are studying is conflict. Risk is inherent in it. You cannot fully study it and understand it and still be in a position of always being risk averse. There's an element of that needs to be understood. We had a visitor from a university, a U.S. university, that was very, very interested in coming to look at our situation. This is a person with pretty substantial academic credentials regarding issues of refugees and population movements and whatnot, and yet had spent surprisingly little time in an actual conflict zone. And in order to get approval for this professor to come, it was about a 4-month process going back and forth where we had to assure their risk management team that the person wouldn't come to harm the moment she stepped off the plane. We pointed out to them that we live there without any protection, and have been doing so for some time, but we had to jump through all of these hoops. We had to write several analyses of why it would be safe for them to come. They eventually came. We were on the ground for 4 days. We cleared the decks so we could show them what needed to be done, and this was in March of the year, and they responded back to us as they were getting ready to leave for the airport at the end of their trip. They responded back to us and said, well, okay, so now we'll go back, we'll analyze this. I've got another research paper that needs to be concluded and published by the middle of the summer, so I'll have to get right back on that. But come September, it'll be the first thing that we look at. And our response was, you're telling us that you'll look back at this in 6 months. You might as well not do it. 6 months might as well be 60 years in Iraq. You know, we don't know what's happening from 1 week to the next. And to come from the point of view of saying 6 months. So that raises the other issue, which is the current inability at least in our experience, for academia to have a meaningful rapid response system. In academia, we are geared and wired towards study and analysis, being reflective and not making decisions quickly, making sure that we've examined all the angles. But to the extent that we've decided to make the victims of conflict zones an area of academic study, I think we need to be intellectually honest with ourselves to understand that if we are to have meaningful impact on actually solving real-world problems, we cannot move at the pace that might normally be comfortable to us as academics. These problems move rapidly. And one of the things that we have not really been able to find in our situation, and we've been looking for them, are rapid response tools from academia that can fit. Earlier, Father Holcroft was speaking about doing things in compartments and modules, and I think this is an area that is tremendously deserving of more study and more research in terms of how these things can quickly impact situations on the ground. But in general, solutions on the ground that say, look, let's send in a team, we'll do some analysis, we'll write a paper, we'll see if we can raise some money then to do something else, 6, 12 months down the road. It's valuable for the person doing the research, but it's of no use to the people on the ground. And I think that's an area that would bear some fruit if we looked at it more closely. The last thing that I would want to speak to you about is the need for holistic approaches. It's been addressed by some of the other speakers, the issue concerning the entire person, the trauma that they go through, and the types of relearning that people need to go through if they're going to really contribute to society. So it's not simply a question where you can take somebody who's known nothing but war. Nothing but war. And Iraq is not the only place on earth where this is going on. So many of these 60 million displaced people, when you are speaking to somebody who's under the age of 25, chances are better than not that war is all that person has known. So how does that impact everything else in the way these people, these young people are thinking? And so answers that simply say, we'll teach them language, we'll teach them accounting, go off and prosper. No. These are people who've been ripped from their homes and had unspeakable things done to them and their families, and there's real work that needs to be done. So that as we are going through this education process, it's critical that we do it in a holistic way. What do I mean by a holistic way? Especially we're a Catholic university, as are many of the representatives here today. But in our holistic view, are we teaching them the traditional liberal arts values? Are we teaching them the traditional Catholic values? Are we teaching faith in God? Are we teaching a culture of life? These are complicated questions, especially in the Middle East, but they're things that can't be passed over. They just can't be passed over. We need to look at them very seriously and understand holistically what are we trying to produce here in terms of the minds that come out of these young students. I'll give you an example of what is clearly a failure of what happened in terms of somebody who had left the Middle East or was from the Middle East and then returned in a very harsh manner. One of the towns that was primarily Christian town in Nineveh is the town of Batnaya. And Batnaya was one of the towns that is most heavily damaged. ISIS held Batnaya for nearly 3 years, was one of the last ones to be recovered. And I was part of the team from the church that we would go in and do the analysis and do the site surveys to see what was the condition of the towns and the church properties as quickly as possible after the fighting had ended. So we came into the town of Batnaya, and there was actually still fighting going on one end of the town, but we were able to get in. And we came into the chapel of the church, and of course all the religious symbols and representations had been desecrated. But there was also graffiti on the wall. And the graffiti, and I'm going to preface this by saying, you know, in our situation in northern Iraq, the Muslims who were not supporters of ISIS suffered brutally, right alongside with the Christians. We have Muslim students in our university and have worked quite closely with the Muslims throughout. Our situation is in many respects the same. I just want to preface my next comments with that. So this graffiti on the wall said, "Oh, you dirty slaves of Christ, you are in Islamic land. This is always Islamic land. Get out of here now, or we will kill you all." Pretty harsh words in and of themselves. But what's really stunning is that graffiti was not written in English or Arabic. It was written in German. It's written in German. So what does that tell you? You know, I mean, the questions that should, you know, make people think about, I think are pretty profound. So what's clear here, it's at least clear to us, is that the level of healing and that the level of teaching here is so deep and crosses over so many different boundaries that we really need to make sure we're looking at the entire person, because the depth of what is being forced to deal with there is really something. So I will finish up there. I'm getting the sign. So if any of you want to speak afterwards, I'm happy to do so. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Rasche. And I think what came to me during your speech is that definitely time counts in Iraq, and that the question is whether the level of bureaucracy is bigger in Iraq or in the United States. That also came to me. And paraphrasing what John Paul II said about Lebanon, that Lebanon is more than a country, it's a mission. Iraq is definitely more than a country, it's a challenge. Especially for educators. So thank you very much for being here. I must say I met Dr. Rasche in Iraq last year, and he is a multitasking person in his, also his educational post in Catholic University of Erbil. Moving to our to conclusions of this session and the concluding testimony of Kirsten Ben Haddou and Justin Fonkeu from Silent University in Germany. Kirsten Ben Haddou worked in different fields of migration, amongst others, in a refugee and human rights organization in the sector of public relations and fundraising. She is a coach and counselor and speaker for intercultural competencies and migration. And she coordinates the Silent University of Ruhr. And Justin Fonkeu is a consultant of Silent University, born in Cameroon, emigrated to Germany as a political refugee in 2000. He is a political and municipal councillor in the city of Mannheim and the Ruhr in Germany's North Rhine-Westphalia. And as a member of the Green Party, he is in charge of migrants' integration into the socio-economic life of the host country. Please welcome.
Yeah, hello together. We are grateful and pleased to have been invited to that conference because, yeah, there are very, very important questions which we all have to answer together. And as she said, we are here to present the Silent University, an alternative platform for academic refugees. Yeah, and now I would like to start with my colleague who wants to explain it to you.
Yeah, thank you very much for giving us this opportunity. We go straight with the table of content. In this table of content, we start with an introduction, which tells you what Silent University is, and then we try to give out the objectives of Silent University. We come in the third position to talk about the professional and social integration of the academia. Then we relate the activities of Silent University, emphasizing on intercultural academic women empowerment network. And then we'll give us a simple example of what we practically do, and that comes with Sonstiges. And then Übersetzung Praxis, gelernt Angebot, or geplant Angebot. Then we'll end with a conclusion and a bit of a recommendation and maybe a reflection question.
Yeah, so Silent University is maybe one of these extraordinary projects in that context here, because we are not a university. We grew up from an artist context, from the Kurdish artist Ahmet Ögüt, who first initiated it in a very famous cultural and art context at Tate Gallery in 2012. Because he wanted to have solutions in these questions of the refugee crisis, especially for people with academic background, and to involve those who had a professional and trained life, academic training in their home countries, and could not go on with these skills due to their residential status, and that they maybe have not permission to work in the host countries. So the principle is that so-called newcoming refugees work as lecturers in their different fields of profession in Silent University, and they keep on their knowledge of their professional lives, and that's why we call it Silent University, because this knowledge is get forced to silence due that status to being a refugee. They are supported by the so-called consultants, living example with Mr. Fonkeu, which I was very pleased to meet in that project and to win him to come up and work with us. Because we want role models to newcoming refugees, to encourage them to be on that sometimes really, really hard way to come into society, as we have heard from different perspectives here in that conference. Next to lectures, we build up discussions or seminars to different fields, and also to reflect what it means to be a refugee or asylum seeker. So that means that platform reflects or maybe different issues. For example, what does it mean to be a headscarf wearer, a woman who is wearing a headscarf? and wants to work as an academic in a university or in other fields of jobs. So we try to extend the issues on intercultural issues also, not only on academic issues. Yeah, it is not to graduate. You cannot make a curriculum, or if official, we have no official authorization for that university, but there is a network also with sister universities in other countries, and we develop and develop further and further, so I would say. Me? Okay. Yeah, as I said, we try to bring up academic refugees into society and help the silent knowledge to be hearable again. And we want also to demand the absolute right of everybody to educate. That means we need also a horizontalization of knowledge, because it's also who is able to teach, who is allowed to teach, and who has the permission. And I think if we think about this refugee crisis, we have to think in a total other way about this, who is up and who is down also. Yeah, we want to facilitate the acknowledgement of, or the recognition of academic titles, and we demand that that should be done from now on. Yeah, of course, there are some solidarity measures with the struggles of refugees all over the world, and we feel in solidarity with them, and we exchange also. One of the most important things is that we act here in that project without legal and language limitations. Thank you. Because if you come as a refugee to a country, you are not able to speak the language of the host country. And that means you remain maybe for a long time outside society. So what we are doing, we provide your mother tongue, we provide interpreters, a network. So you can use, as an academic, the language you like most, or which is your mother tongue language. That's a good thing to do it like this, because you also estimate other languages. That means that it's not one dominant language, so we deal with a lot of languages. One thing I want to say is that we don't focus only on different academic knowledge, which is used in universities. We also focus on knowledge traditions from other countries, seen like as an intercultural exchange. I just want to give one example, which fits very well to the former lecture here by Mr. I don't know, from Iraq, excuse me. And because he said about Catholics in Iraq. And one of our partner universities, which we have in the first year of the opening session, he came from Iraq. He was a Catholic director of a Catholic school there. And he was, I think, 78 years old. He was captured because of his religion, and they said to him, okay, you can confess to Islam or we will kill you and your family. And this man, he gave us some other aspects of knowledge traditions, because he made a lecture on, I think, 17 styles of Arabic calligraphy, which is some special knowledge which we don't have sometimes in Europe, or which is more important in other regions of the world. And we should take it inside also to exchange. Yeah, the place where we are located is a meeting place in a cultural and art context, and it's a meeting place, sharing with others. We share it with others, from actors, from culture, from science, art and education, and this is also to meet refugee people with other people living in the society, living in the municipality, because it's very important to establish that meeting each other to get over that prejudice, to get over wrong thoughts about different cultures and religions. So that is also a very important aspect. Yeah, of course we want to contribute to an equal professional and scientific participation of refugees and asylum seekers in Germany.
Yeah, I will come here to give you the orders. I think some of the participants gave the orders, but I will limit it to the academia, where we have, for example, a traumatized person with a lot of experiences. He's in contact where he cannot express himself, a language problem. He has a lot of fear about his security and residence. Then, after thinking about that, there is also the problem of accommodation and social benefits, which are also a problem. Then we follow up with the recognition of his certificates. There he has people, but he has to work, he has this knowledge, there is no possibility. Yeah, if he has the opportunity of having the certificate recognized, there is a possibility for him, he wants to further his studies, but that's all he does. And then after recognizing the certificate, there's also a problem of seeking a job. And sometimes when you go through the school, it's the problem of prejudice and discrimination. I give you an example just to explain my case, where I came with professional background, with a lot of experience, and could not get into the system. And I had to work odd jobs for 8 years before going back to the university. That's the luck we have, that our A-level is recognized and accepted by the university situation, but the employers have no confidence in our A-level certificate. So we are able to manage that. And having gone through the school system, it becomes a problem also that you find that most migrants, especially people of color, that the community is not yet accepted that they can take a role position or executive position. And that is where I found to be able to place myself in a situation where we say, when you are not sitting in a place where decisions are taken, then it's really difficult for you to influence policy. And I had the experience of wanting to go back to university and had to have an internship for in my studies. I sent in an application to all the political parties for me to be able to carry the internship. But I think I'm lucky that there are people who are thinking in that line, and the Green Party gave me the light to be able to carry out an internship. And that forced me, or I said, I got excited and had the feeling there are people who are for me, and I had to join as a political party member. Then we have so many activities, me contributing as somebody who came as an asylum seeker and having gone through the difficulties and problems. When Kirsten told me about Silent University, I said, wow, if this came when I came, because I had to stay for more than 10 years to be able to discover Silent University. I said, if I had it before, maybe the situation would have been a bit different than what I'm living today. And I gave my agreement to support the young ones who are coming or the migrants who are coming. And we do that in general consultancy, where we train and advise asylum seekers and refugees, especially academia. I also work to follow up the recognition of their certificates and possible direction to where or which fields could be very interesting or which are quite open for migrants who are coming in the German society. And we work with one association which we call Afro-Muhammad's Cultural and Development Association, which I stand as the co-founder of this association. We give a general knowledge lecture, alternative way of seeing the German from other countries, trying to equate what are the bachelors that somebody had in Lebanon or in Syria or in Cameroon could be equated with the bachelors that one had here in Mülheim or in Germany. And in our situation, we found that people could give, to organize interesting topics and present it in a scientific way that was not different from what we study here in Germany. In the fields of psychology, archaeology, medicine, pharmacy, alternative medicine, political science, journalism, documentary and literary sciences. So we also have possibility of giving guest lectures. We take asylum seekers who could, in the case where you have maybe a lecture or on colonialism or refugee or migration, then we are invited to talk and give our ideas to the students. We also have this very important project that is carried out by Mrs. Fonkeu. We know in the African context, the women mostly, some people think that the role of the woman is in the kitchen. So she is coming out to break that taboo and said, it is not only in the kitchen, they can also be academicians. And Kirsten, go on.
Okay, we see just some photos to make it more visible what we are doing. Above, the photo above is this Benam Benam, I told you about it. Mr. Fonkeu, you can see him. So this is the model of our presentations. Some more, we do also some lectures about books, and we work with different people in different kind of interpretation also. So the last module, which is also very important, and I hope that you find it also, is what he said. His wife led this intercultural academic network, because as we started, and we make advertisement in, I think, 8 or 9 or 10 languages. Are you academic, and do you have time, and do you want to join us? There were only men, and sometimes we were looking for funding. So this is also our problem in the moment for 2018. They said, what is that? A network without women? I said, okay, yeah, they are right, but what are the obstacles? Why do I don't have these academic women? And so we recognize that they need more time to go in the public, and that they sometimes need a protected space to feel better with all these obstacles to be a refugee and to change that country, and so on, you can imagine. So we try to encourage, to empower these women, and we had a success. It's not so far away from time. It was in September in the so-called Intercultural Week. There, for the first time, some of the women went out and presented to different issues, lectures, not so long, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, but they did it so nice and so good, and it was in a protected space because it was only open for women. Also, it was a public event, and I hope that maybe next time we will open it up to men, because he's criticizing the whole time. No, he understands. Yeah, so that network meets twice a week, and we also help women. We help each other in social questions and other things what women need, and one of the most important things we offer also in other contexts is caring, because if you don't offer it, women sometimes have no possibility for the nerding, and this is really good to have it. Sonstiges. Die Silent University begreift sich als Labor und Vorbild für den gelebten Umgang mit Multikulturalität und Multilingualität in einer Gesellschaft.
Listeners, here Silent University sees itself as a role model to what is happening and what we are living in the community in Mülheim.
Die Idee- und Übersetzungsvorgänge sind transferiert worden in die Arbeit des Ringlockschuppens, Theater- und Performancehaus der freien Szene.
Yeah, the exercise of translation has been translated practically in our cultural house in Ringlockschuppen, where theater are organized in many languages.
Beim weltweiten Netzwerktreffen aller bestehenden Silent Universities haben wir uns auch inhaltlich zu vielen Themen ausgetauscht.
Yeah, we organize exchange of contents with other universities, silent knowledges that we have. We had one aspect that we did in Impulse 2016 that involved all the silent universities in the world.
This lecture, some photos again. So, Übersetzungspraxis. Wir sind ein multilinguales Labor mit Simultanübersetzung und Konsekutivübersetzung.
Yeah, this is translation and interpretation practice. We see it as a multicultural laboratory where we test the consecutive or simultaneous translation in many languages and give the opportunity for the academia to express itself in his language.
As we have shown now. So, I think we don't have so much time. So maybe we're coming to the recommendations now. Yeah? Because how much time is it? None. Okay, then recommendations have to be, because that's why we are here for.
Yeah.
We go to the next one.
Yes.
Just, please, Mr. Fonkeu.
Yeah, the recommendations we have that we have to find a way to simplify the recognition and procedure of further education for asylum seekers, finding an alternative solution for those who cannot provide to bring their document or certificates. And this, we look at it as the university revising their requirements that should modify alternative methods, which could be through interview, through internship, and through maybe tests from the university to get the value. In this way, we assess the practical way of looking at it practically and giving the opportunity to that candidate and not thinking about hurdles that make it really difficult for him. Yeah. We thank you very much
Thank
for
you
your
very much for
attention.
your
So that's our contact there.
Dankeschön. Thank you very much. Yes, I'll give the floor to Father Pedro in a second. Thank you so much for your presentation. It's just a short note before we all go to lunch. There was a slight change in the program because the papal audience on Saturday is going to be held earlier. You have this in your programs, so please take a careful look on what is happening, especially on Friday afternoon, because basically the entire session, our session and the signing of the network, of the partnership of the network, was moved to Friday. So please take a careful look. I'll be reminding you about that. I just wanted it to be clear before we go to lunch. And now I think it's the time to wrap up this session. And thank you indeed, Silent University. You are not silent at all, and thank you for that.
Je voulais juste dire 3 mots. D'abord, mon rôle d'animer les débats était très facile parce que le temps écoulait plus vite que la générosité des présentations. Mais on a bien fini avec une université qui parle de silence. parfois, devant des grandes questions comme ça, on ne sait pas exactement quoi faire. Donc, mais ce rôle a été facilité aussi par le travail de Pauline, qui nous a aidé à présenter chacun et chacune des présentateurs. Deuxièmement, donc, les repas, donc on a du temps de repas, il sera un temps aussi des conversations, ça fait partie des dynamiques de tous les colloques, des congrès, et parler pendant qu'on mange, parler les uns avec les autres. Troisièmement, on sait que c'est plus connu aujourd'hui la fête des Halloween et d'autres choses comme ça, mais aujourd'hui quand même c'est la fête des fidèles défunts. Et donc je voudrais proposer à la fois comme une prière, mais aussi comme un geste à nous tous, une minute de silence pour tous ceux qui ont malheureusement perdu la vie dans des traversées, mais aussi beaucoup de monde qui ont donné leur vie en témoignage ou bien pour travailler avec ceux et celles qui sont en situation de migration et de réfugiés. Donc, peut-être pourrions-nous nous mettre debout parce qu'il y a on dit que la fête de tous les saints c'était hier et de ceux qui ne sont pas encore des saints c'est aujourd'hui. Donc, mais une définition de la sainteté que j'aime beaucoup de Christophe Torvald, c'est de dire que les saints sont ceux qui se mettent debout, qui sont debout pendant n'importe quelle situation. Peut-être on pourrait se mettre debout dans le désir d'arriver à une sainteté, d'être ferme dans des positions et solidaire avec ceux et celles qui sont déjà morts à cause d'un motif de migration ou des réfugiés, ou bien parce qu'ils sont témoins d'un travail au peuple. Merci, bon repas, bon appétit.